Hello. Sorry I'm a bit late, but welcome back to the final episode of Inside the Apex. Well, not the final, but the final episode of this season, because we're covering the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the end of this Formula One season. And I'm Robin, joined by Corey, Sid, and Matthew. So yeah,
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello.
it's good to be back, and can't believe it's already the final race and the end of the season. And I don't know, initial just general thoughts of the race. It was sort of
A bit of a boring race.
I think it's just the same, every
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi just
I didn't expect anything else from Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
So
it was in Abu Dhabi.
yeah, it's just not that exciting.
Yeah.
It's just there's some moments here and there that are
Yeah,
Do-
there were some good overtakes and stuff, but
Yeah.
they're just few and far between.
I remember watching. It's just a lot of laps of just not that much going on, and then you do get a couple overtakes maybe to start a bit, but putting that all aside, this race and the season was pretty important for quite a lot of teams. Let me go through sort of what a lot of teams were looking going into this final race. Pretty much, we had a four-way battle for fourth in the drivers' constructors. I know not as exciting as winning, but it was still sort of exciting,
Yeah.
between Norris, Leclerc, Alonso, and forgot the fourth, but
I think Sainz. Norris. Yeah, it was Sainz. Norris, Leclerc, Alonso, and Sainz.
okay.
Yeah.
And then we had, which was pretty big, Merc, Mercedes, and Ferrari battling for second in the constructors.
Yep.
And then we also had lower down, Williams and AlphaTauri were fighting for
Yeah.
can't remember what, eighth,
Exciting.
Seventh place.
seventh.
Yeah.
That's pretty big considering
Exactly.
Williams is more like a years past 10th place team, and
Yeah.
now they're seventh. That's pretty big. So big implications, and obviously, so it made it sort of still a reason to watch because there were still some important things to look out for. It was just a shame. Obviously, there wasn't much of a battle constructors wise, drivers wise.
Mhm.
So, we can I guess just get into quali, I guess. And a big thing before we get into sort of the meat of it is if Leclerc got pole again, he would actually surpass Niki Lauda as the second most poles for Ferrari, which is
No.
actually kind of insane.
That is insane. Yeah.
When I heard that on the broadcast, I was like, that is crazy that,
Yeah.
it's weird to think that he's been at Ferrari for a while now and he's gotten a lot of poles for them. Yeah, I don't know.
He has.
In my brain, I feel like he's still new at Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's still
I don't know.
basically a rookie to me.
100%. I have the same feeling. I don't know. But this quali, there wasn't, there was a couple surprises, I guess, but nothing too major. I know Sainz got out in Q1.
Yeah.
That's pretty big. And both the Alpines squeaked through into Q2. And in Q2, Hamilton went out, which is, Hamilton, the last couple races, he hasn't been too hot,
Yeah.
Not terrible, I'd say.
I think he's had enough of this car, and he's
Yeah,
ready
he wants to
say,
move on.
He's ready to say goodbye to it. So.
Yeah.
He's definitely checked out a little bit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, you think? Just
Well,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, he's just ready to go on vacation.
Yeah, he's definitely
Who is it?
tired of the past 2 years, especially.
yeah.
He just wants a good car, but hopefully he doesn't get one.
Hey.
Whoa. 3 minutes in, guys. 3 minutes in.
God,
Holy, the fighting begins.
catching strays for no reason.
I mean, it'd be kind of exciting. If
Okay, circling back to Abu Dhabi qualifying. But we noticed the two teams who are actually fighting for a championship position, Ferrari and Mercedes, both like that. Two of their drivers were doing really well, and then
that's true.
the second drivers weren't doing that well anyway.
Mm.
So like Hamilton was out in Q2, Sainz was out in Q1. And obviously Leclerc was struggling through Q1 and Q2, but then he put out that stonking lap
I was
Then
not
he-
expecting that. He was
in
eighth.
Q3. Yeah,
He was eighth in Q3.
Yeah.
He had a terrible first lap,
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, not Norris, Piastri, front row Norris.
yeah.
I was like, okay, McLaren's, they're doing well, and then boom, all of a sudden, Leclerc just puts in this monster lap, takes second. I was like, oh my oh my gosh, I can believe it.
I feel like
I mean, he said that he was 8th on old scrubbed softs, and
Okay.
then as soon as he put on the new softs, he said the car just came alive.
Yeah.
I think
And
Charles Leclerc remembered he's Charles Leclerc. He was like,
Yeah.
wait, it's qualifying. I can do whatever I want.
I mean, that was just crazy lap.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting it, seeing the general pace out of
Yeah.
everyone. And then, Russell put a decent lap. He split
Yeah,
the two,
P4.
the McLarens, and, not bad for himself. And it's funny that both the teams, Mercedes and Ferrari, that were both fighting for second, they sort of mirrored each other this qualifying, how you just said that both Leclerc and Russell were doing,
Really
fairly well. And
Yeah.
then we had Hamilton and Sainz. It's kind of funny they had one driver doing well, one not. It's
Yeah.
just a bit, funny coincidence, I'd say.
Mhm.
Also a decent qualifying was Sonoda, who I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
More than decent.
Yeah, he got into Q3, and I remember. I'm pretty sure last year he had a decent Abu Dhabi as well,
He
or the
did.
year before as well. So I think he quite likes this track, and he does fairly well, and so it's good to see him again in Q3, and build up that confidence.
Yeah, he finished
Yeah.
P4 in 2021, so I think it's
Mm,
safe to
yeah,
say he
that's
loves
what I
this
remembered,
track.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
And obviously, I mean, McLaren did really well in qualifying, third
Yeah.
and fifth. Lando would have been way higher if he didn't make that mistake in the third last corner.
yeah, a lot of
I saw that. Yeah.
a
And-
lot of drivers, you see the back end slide, or you think
Yeah.
it's crazy how they catch it, because
Yeah,
so
exactly.
many times you're like, how does he not spin out or
Yeah,
something?
exactly.
And
It
he's
was a
just
sick drift, to be
Yeah, yeah,
honest.
yeah.
It's just not what he wanted
No.
on his final attempt at qualifying. But
It's the Abu Dhabi urge to do donuts.
oh yeah,
everyone's forgetting it's not quite the end of it. Everyone's already, that is funny. But
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of drivers, you see the back end slide out and, losing time there, and could have done a bit better. But, and finally, Perez, he put in an okay lap and then it got deleted down to 9. I thought
P9.
that was funny. I was watching, and then just all of a sudden, Perez, you see him
Lap
just
time
drop.
deleted,
He just
yeah.
dropped to 9th. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that, what can you say?
Back
Not
he-
not surprised.
Back where he lives.
At least he's in Q3,
Yeah.
I guess.
I can. I mean, a fun fact here that I was just telling these guys. Perez's average qualifying position is like 10.5 or something
don't
this
tell
season. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So it's not looking good for him.
that is bad.
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair, he was on the naughty list on the stewards this weekend, where I mean, obviously he got that lap time deleted, and then in the race as well.
Mm.
We'll come to it.
Oh my
obviously,
god,
but
we're gonna talk about that.
penalty
But
nearly
Perez couldn't catch
changed
a
the
break.
race.
Perez couldn't catch a break.
yeah, I mean, we will talk
He
about that.
He could
But
try following the rules.
Very
And
true. Very true.
the final thing about qualifying before we get onto the race is Albon out-qualified Logan Sargent every
Yeah.
race now,
22-0.
Mm.
Yeah.
which is
Pretty impressive.
That
that
But
is crazy.
That's really,
Following
really
in
impressive.
the George Russell Williams footsteps
Oh yeah.
Mm.
of out qualifying your teammate.
Well, to be fair, all credit to Albon, but Sargent really isn't a challenge, is he?
Well, yeah, that was
Yeah,
also
but-
true when George Russell was at Williams.
Mm.
Yeah, but the
but
thing
stop
is,
this.
there's always, the same with like Alonso and
Yeah, I mean, but it could
Stroll,
be
there's-
through no fault of his own. Maybe like some crash, some mechanical
exactly.
failure,
There's
Yeah.
always that
something
one
like
time,
Yeah.
one qualifying where you're either not too hot or
Yeah.
something's wrong.
A red flag messes your
Exactly.
lap up.
So it is, even if your opponent isn't the greatest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I just mentioned with Alonso and Stroll, Alonso out-qualified Stroll a lot of the time, but still sometimes Stroll was
Stroll.
ahead,
Yeah.
Mm.
The
Through
level,
no fault
And
of-
no one's going to say Stroll is a better driver than Alonso, right?
Yeah.
So it's still incredibly impressive that you
Yeah.
out-qualify every single race of this season.
that level of like consistency is very Albon and also very impressive, I think.
And
Yeah.
it's what you want when you're a lower down team is
Mhm.
consistency, because you're not fighting. Well, you need to fight for these points as much as you can, because you're eking out these 1.2 point, maybe even if you even can,
Mhm.
every race, and so you need that consistency, because 1.2 point difference is all it takes to go from 9th to, let's say, 7th.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's just what it takes, and it just shows Albon he can drive.
Doing really well.
So
Yeah.
hopefully next season, yeah.
Hopefully he gets a better seat next season.
Yeah. I mean,
Hopefully that Williams is better.
yeah. And so onto the race.
Mhm.
Opening lap. Nothing.
I mean, it was pretty exciting between Leclerc and Max.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
wasn't expecting that. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
And-
we've seen this quite sometimes, especially at the end of the season where Max actually has to defend in the first lap. But yeah, it was pretty exciting. But then Max just kind of walked.
You know,
away.
I think it
Yeah.
just reminds you of a lot of seasons when you have that one dominant team or that one dominant driver. It's just, and then you see that one chance, a different driver from different team to attack,
Yeah.
and you just think in your head, oh, it's such a shame that their car isn't good enough to
Yeah.
compete. Because I was thinking here, oh, imagine if Leclerc's car was just that little bit better, or the Red Bull wasn't as dominant.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been a great battle, but Leclerc just had a couple looks, tried a bit, but then you just saw that Red Bull was just too quick on the outside, and then
Yeah.
just he couldn't even, Leclerc tried his best and couldn't
Yeah.
even do anything.
Yeah.
Like
So
at some points in that battle, it looked like Leclerc had it.
I thought he was ahead.
But then
Yeah.
it's just the Red Bull off
Yeah.
the corner was just so much
It's-
better that
Yeah.
he just couldn't get it, and it's like, oh, but he did
And that-
everything right.
Yeah, and then Max is like attempting lines that I've never even heard of, like going around the outside
Yeah, like
where it's
what?
not, where it
Yeah,
shouldn't even be
it's just-
possible. I'm like, okay.
It's just one of those where it's just like that's just F1, you know.
I mean, it just shows the confidence Max has with
Mm.
that
Yeah.
car.
Oh yeah,
Had-
100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I just hope Leclerc and Ferrari gets it together. Well, not Leclerc, but Ferrari
Yeah,
gets it
Ferrari, yeah.
together.
Leclerc has it together.
Because he just deserves,
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
True.
I just, after this race, 100%, I just want him to,
Mm.
succeed in F1
Yeah.
because,
Mm.
he's just tried everything to get that P2 for his team for constructors, and he just
Yeah.
couldn't quite do it, trying everything. But going on, there was near the start of the race, there was still interesting battle between the McLarens and Russell. They were squabbling, and that made the start of the race fairly exciting. When you see Abu Dhabi, there's not that many overtakes. You need to focus on those few battles, and this was one of them.
And both McLarens squabbling as well with Piastri.
Yeah.
Piastri obviously qualified in front of Norris, but then Norris caught up to Piastri. And I wasn't sure how that would play out, but then obviously Norris overtook Piastri in like under 10 laps. And yeah, then we saw exactly what happened. So
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
it just
Was it not too bad for an opening of the race, to be fair?
yeah, it wasn't really that bad. Yeah. I mean,
Like-
and especially, George Russell doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had some excellent pace.
he had good
Yeah.
pace this race, and he made it count really.
Yeah,
he was
and-
faster than both McLarens.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that Ferrari-Mercedes battle ended up pretty exciting, to be fair. Like, it was very much hit or miss who would be winning the battle for second in the
Mm.
championship for a while there.
The one thing
And
I
George
took,
sounded angry on the radio when he
Oh,
was
yeah.
trying to
Oh yeah.
Like, he really cared.
The radios
Yeah.
this race were popping off.
were
Yeah,
gold,
they
yeah.
were.
But the one thing I actually do remember from this race was me actually calculating and doing the math in my head, thinking that Ferrari does this, does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the
Mercedes,
end, obviously.
Well, I think
So-
Russell definitely helped Mercedes' chance to get second.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, obviously.
And what didn't help
so
Ferrari.
did Sainz.
Yeah, I was gonna say what didn't help
Oh,
Ferrari was
yeah.
Sainz and how Ferrari just
Yeah,
messed up.
their strategy was
Yeah.
just
They just
not on
needed,
it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Ferrari messing up their strategy.
No way.
Who's seen that before?
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a shame. Leclerc, you saw in the race, he really wanted it, and he may have gotten, he got second in the race, and he got fourth overall in the drivers' constructors, but he
Mhm.
tried really hard to get that second place in the constructors, and I was just so heartbroken when on the radio he was trying everything,
Mm.
even letting Perez pass
Yeah,
and
that
all
ending.
that, right?
Yeah,
That-
that
Mm.
ending was,
It was
something I never
so
thought would
nearly.
happen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because it was like Charles trying to help Perez because
Yeah.
if he got in the right place, but
That
It's
was
just
It's just unfortunate. He thought Perez was quicker than he actually is.
yeah,
that, and it's just one of those things where that just goes to show like Leclerc just wants Ferrari to succeed
Mm.
that badly that
Yeah.
he doesn't he literally went on like it was a blue flag overtake or whatever. He went to the side, Perez just went straight past,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
he tried everything.
It was another instance where a Ferrari driver takes over strategy by themselves, and we saw this with Carlos Sainz in Singapore, where he decides what's best for him, and then he does what he wants. But then obviously, yeah, it didn't pay out. It didn't quite pay out here. I think Perez. I think it was the gap was 3.8, and it needed to be 5.
It really could have paid out though.
It really could have. It was so close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair efforts.
I was watching it like clenched fists. Like,
yeah.
Oh god.
And yeah, I mean, Leclerc obviously was being the gentleman driver, and he didn't, back up George Russell, and Russell obviously thanked him for that, because that obviously we didn't want to see that, and it was
that
nice.
would have been crazy, but
yeah,
it's just it would be so nice. I just want Leclerc next season to just get a couple wins, or seem a bit more happier with the team.
I feel like we've seen the Robin conversion to Charles fan over the past few weeks.
100%.
I feel like you weren't this big of a fan when we started this podcast.
Yeah, it's just when you see a driver so passionate about his team, or putting in so much effort and it not coming to fruition, it's so painful.
Yeah, especially all the polls to not wins. Like it's hard to watch.
Yeah, so
true.
Yeah, that's just how I see it, and
and that was Abu Dhabi.
Another driver, but that I think is sort of sleeper, Oh wait, let me see. Oh yeah, let's talk about the penalty with Perez and Norris. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
What are you guys' opinions? Like, I don't know.
I think it's deserved.
You think it's deserved?
100%. 100%.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
No,
I don't know.
Norris was ahead at the corner, and then Perez decided, I'm going to try and outbrake him. And then he just touched wheels and said, it's not my fault.
Before even Perez was alongside Norris, it was just a half, it wasn't a half, it was a half-hearted move by Perez, where if he wanted to dive down the inside, he could have tried a lot harder. And he was behind Norris when the corner came up. And then as soon as they decelerated, Perez was kind of alongside him, but Norris obviously had the corner. Yeah. And Perez just didn't even try to hit the apex. He just, locked. We saw, I think, occasionally he moved the steering wheel to the right or like to the center. And
he tried to force his way through pretty much.
He did.
I see that, and I agree, he tried to force his way through, but still, it's one of those tough ones for me, because he was still alongside, and then Norris obviously sort of turned a bit too sharply, and then they did bump wheels, but I thought it was a bit weird that, I don't know, 5-second penalty is just...
it wasn't really sharply. We could see both the drivers kind of hesitate.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird one. Cause
very slow.
Yeah.
Really,
that's
really
what I thought. I was like, I can't believe what is going on right now.
I think the commentators themselves also said Norris looked like he wanted to let Perez through, and then he just couldn't decide when going into the corner.
Yeah. It looked like it was like slow motion crash. And
that's literally what I was thinking. I was like, wait, they just touched? What just it was just a weird one, really, from... I don't know. I think from both it was just a bit weird, and Perez gets away with. Well, he doesn't get away with it, but he gets given the penalty.
He gets given the penalty. I think he got the penalty because it was more of he didn't try his best to make the corner, and he was like forcing another driver off the track. Yeah, that's why he got the penalty, not because of the move, but yeah.
Well, speaking of penalties, what do we think about the Alonso brake testing Hamilton thing?
Oh yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
it was.
That was strange. I didn't expect Fernando Alonso to do something like that.
Yeah, but we've seen it before in like long straights, like DRS, when people are trying to get the DRS, but it's just so unsafe. Don't brake test people, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't he coming out?
Was it like a proper brake test, or was it like it just looked really weird?
He definitely hit the brakes.
Okay.
Yeah,
like
100%. He slowed down.
It was weird. It was a weird one. I was just a bit. Just weird, like when you're watching, you're like, "Wait, what just happened?"
Wait, was Alonso coming out of the pits?
It was on the first straight after
after the pit exit, right? So what I think Alonso was trying to do was brake, let Hamilton through. It was Hamilton, right?
Yeah. That's what they said on the broadcast.
And then get DRS.
He wanted to get DRS, so he wanted Hamilton to be past him, but then obviously Hamilton wasn't expecting him to slow down, and he was just behind him, and
Hamilton got PTSD.
Yeah, I do think it's like a nasty move. Like if you're on a straight, you go 100%. On a straight. Like keep your
That's true.
There's like a sense of like respect between drivers.
Yeah, but to be fair, I'm not justifying Alonso here. But he was on like the far right. He was like on the curb when he braked.
Yeah, but Lewis was behind him.
Yeah, 100%. That's not.
Yeah.
It could have ended a lot worse if Hamilton hadn't paid attention.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, the steward said there was nothing wrong with it, so.
But I'm smarter than the stewards.
They need to hire you.
They do.
And, you know, another weird one is, because, you know, when you have one of these races where it's hard to overtake, pit stops are important. And I feel like a lot of the pit stops were slow, bad, not the best.
McLaren had a bad one, which is weird because they've had so many good ones this year.
With Norris, it was
it was 5.1.
5.1, yeah.
5.1, I wrote it down, and, you know, they weren't the only ones. And so just a lot of just slower pits. I don't know. Maybe everyone was, you know, had a couple drinks.
It's
end
the
of season,
race,
yeah. Does it really matter? Oh, just put the tyre on, God.
Fine, I'll do it.
I think a final thing to bring up with the race though is Tsunoda led a few laps. That's the first time a Japanese driver has led a race since Sato in 2004.
Damn.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
a
cool.
A good little stat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always fun when you get to see a driver leading a lap. Do you remember a few years ago in Singapore when Antonio Giovinazzi was leading?
Oh, yeah.
And you were just like, what? Like, this is so weird, but so fun. I always enjoy that kind of thing.
But Tsunoda fully deserved driver of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he had a good race.
Great this weekend.
Great race. And speaking of laps led, you know, we mentioned it last week. 1,000. He
Big
got
numbers.
Let's go.
He got him. Wasn't that? I remember hearing it was like, you know, since like, was it like 1954 or something, or I don't even know, like where, you know, 1,000 laps led. That's just
it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
An insane stat, and obviously this was Max's 19th win, right?
Yeah, 19th win with the RB19.
And that doesn't that make it the most?
The most wins in a season.
And the most dominant car. Like I don't know.
It does. It overtakes McLaren's MP4-4 in win percentage numbers. So RB19 is officially the most dominant car F1
which
has
is
ever
crazy
seen.
because that MP4 is
Yeah.
legendary.
It was driven by the Ayrton Senna.
And that's just a crazy stat. 1,000 laps led, 19 wins.
I think another fun stat is Max has got 10. He got the 10 consecutive at the beginning of the season of wins,
Right.
and then he got another 7 after the Singapore. So he's beaten Vettel's record for 7 consecutive wins twice in one season.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
Quite. Jesus. Yeah.
And it's just crazy how it's
Sebastian Vettel. Like,
and no, you know, like engine failures or gearbox or
the reliability this season
super reliable.
Insane.
I mean, I know you're, you know, mostly, you know, at the front, so it's like you can, you know,
there's no dirty air to
and there's no one
you.
there's
But
no
it's
one
still,
to crash into you.
Exactly. So, you know, apart from first lap shenanigans, there's not, you know, high chance of hitting someone else, but it's still, you know, over all these races.
Yeah, it's quite impressive to just not like spin out and hit a wall at least once.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you want some statistics, I've pulled up F1's Twitter here, where they said Max Verstappen's record-breaking season, most wins obviously 19, most podiums 21,
that is
most
crazy as well.
points 575, most laps led obviously 1,003, highest percentage of laps led 75.7%.
That is crazy.
Jesus.
Most wins from pole 12, most consecutive wins 10. Most consecutive top 2 finishes 14, and most hat tricks, pole win, and fastest laps 6 in a single season.
That's really impressive.
That is really impressive. Wow. But God, this season's been boring.
Yeah.
Really impressive. Don't get me wrong, but Jesus,
that is just crazy. And obviously, you know, I see online a lot of like, you know, Hamilton haters like comparing all the stats, but it's still just. I think this season is just been on another level for Max.
We've witnessed history without knowing it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those is crazy. Obviously, you know, I hope, you know, next season or, you know, there's a bit more competition, but we can always look back and be like, wow, you know, like that, you know, one
this
of those Vettel
happened.
seasons, like 2014 or whatever.
Even just some of Hamilton's really dominant seasons were pretty boring.
Yeah,
that's true.
But you can still look back like, wow, what was that 2020 season, or that, you know, how dominant, how amazing the car and the driver were. It's just not even that, you know, you can say, oh, it was boring because no one, you know, challenged, but you can also say just exactly, and you'd be right to say it, but you can still say that consistency, that just how great he was with that car, you can't deny it, right? And same how you can't, you know, can't hate on Hamilton for all those years just being better than everyone, and it's just crazy.
I think it's safe to say Max is definitely top 3 of all time now.
Oh yeah, I mean he is in the number of wins, so. he's overtaken Sebastian Vettel now. So.
Well, so he got third most wins behind Schumacher and Hamilton.
Schumacher and Hamilton, yeah.
That's so
true.
painful to me, guys. I can't explain it.
And we got him until 28, so he could easily break both those records.
I respect it, but I will complain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this was also the first season since 1952 where the British national anthem didn't play once.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing
God.
that.
Yeah.
That is crazy as well.
That's insane.
And Mercedes go winless for the first time
Yeah.
in like
Ages.
what was
In a
that?
long
How
time,
many years? Like
I mean, yeah, it's crazy to see how we thought the W13 was a bad car. It actually won once in Brazil.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
This
true.
car didn't win.
This
What
car was
happened?
crazy inconsistent, though,
Yeah.
to be fair.
They got side pods and they just forgot how to drive.
Yeah, so that sort of wraps up Abu Dhabi, but we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna give out some awards, I guess.
Yep.
To the drivers or the teams, whatever we feel like, so we can move on. End of the season. It's
Mhm.
fun to look back on what we think everyone's performance was. So I guess we'll get into it. So I guess the first award is like the best sort of overall team for the whole season. Like, what do you think?
Red Bull.
I mean,
Yeah, I
it's gotta
don't
be
think
Red Bull.
there's a question
No debate
there.
Yeah, it's got to be Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Red Bull obviously I think is is first.
It's
but
like
I
the
think
obvious choice.
who do you think is like a close second? I think it's hard to say because obviously a lot of the other teams, I think it's between sort of. It's hard.
I think
I'd say
the
McLaren,
yeah,
Aston
Exactly,
Martin.
I
the
would say
improvement
McLaren.
of McLaren.
Yeah, that's
Or
what I was thinking as
Ferrari.
well. It's
Ferrari
McLaren.
actually won a race.
So did McLaren, though. They won a
They
sprint.
won a sprint.
Yeah, they won a
Yeah.
sprint though.
They're not real.
I mean, but
I could
I
win
think
a sprint.
I think
Put me in.
we should give it to McLaren because of the upgrades and
Yeah.
how they actually made
they
that
turned
car
their season
so
around.
much better.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Mm.
obviously with that driver pairing, I would say it's McLaren as a close second. It could be Aston Martin, but then Aston Martin just kind of went downhill.
That's
Yeah,
hard.
they had a-
Yeah.
they
Because
did have
McLaren
a
had the
drop.
opposite sort of
Exactly.
trajectory of Aston Martin,
Yeah.
and so that's why I think McLaren needs sort of at least like an honourable mention how they improved the car over the season and they were fighting for wins, podiums at the end, and I
yeah.
think definitely. And
Yeah.
speaking of McLaren, I think we can move on to who we think is the best rookie, and I think it's
Piastri.
It's gotta be
Piastri.
obvious it has to be Piastri. I mean, not only obviously at the end the car was way better, so that helped, but
Yeah.
you see a lot of the time rookies or newer drivers in better cars. Obviously, we saw a lot of that in Red Bull back in the day, but you saw he didn't
succumb to the pressure.
Mm.
exactly,
That
and
Yeah.
he just looked sort of
Yeah.
not like a rookie.
he just
Yeah.
went out and did his job.
Yeah.
He drives like someone who's been in F1
in
for a
F1
long,
for a long
time.
time. Yeah.
And I think an honourable mention goes out to Liam Lawson as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
True.
Only a few races, but they were pretty good.
Yeah, so I think those are obvious ones, and then we can move on to most improved driver over the season, which is more nuanced. I think who we think maybe didn't start off too hot, but ended a bit better.
I mean-
Perhaps
I'd say Norris, because he started really poorly, but
Yeah.
he ended up fourth in the
But I
drivers' contempt.
I mean, there's something to be said there that the car was also
Yeah, it's
really poor.
It's tough to call this one because
Mhm.
the way F1
Yeah.
is with the car, you sort of know
True.
yeah,
who's
I mean,
a good driver and who's sort of
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo went from getting no points to actually being an F1 race. It's a real big improvement. No, I'm kidding. What was I going to say? I was going to say Tsunoda.
Yeah, I was going to lean towards Yuki
Yeah.
as well.
He's ended strong.
Yeah.
yeah. He does this a lot of years where he doesn't start off too hot, and then
Yeah.
at the end,
Mm.
I'm not sure. I don't know why. At the end of the season, he ends very confidently, and then the next season it starts all over again. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
a weird one.
Maybe it's like track preferences.
True.
Like
Mm,
maybe
and
he
the
just
ends at
isn't
the
as
end.
confident on some of them tracks.
Yeah, maybe.
But I
It's a weird one, really.
Yeah.
But
Just to prove us right, let's reverse the whole calendar F1.
Yeah.
just so my boy Yuki can do well.
that would be funny. And then so next award we got what do you think was your best or favorite race of the season?
Singapore, the only non-Red Bull win, and also it was fun. I liked Singapore. I always like Singapore, but I think this race was pretty fun because we actually got like a big battle for the win, which we
Yeah.
didn't see a lot during the season.
Yeah, Singapore was good. It was exciting to see the way Sainz handled it.
Yeah.
and the way he managed the cars behind him, and he made it into a win. And so I think that's a great shout.
Yeah.
Is the Singapore Grand Prix.
The only proper battle for the win that we got all season, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Singapore as well, and this is me as a Red Bull fan, but yeah, Singapore, I mean, a race makes it good when, there's actually a fight for the lead, and Singapore had all of it, so yeah, I would say Singapore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have a different opinion?
No, me personally, I'm stuck between Silverstone and Bahrain because I think
Silverstone's-
Bahrain season opener when we saw Alonso being as fast as he
That's
was,
a
I
great
thought that was
call.
quite exciting.
Yeah, it was great seeing those first however so races where Aston Martin were very good and Alonso was fighting up there. It was just a blast from the past,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
great that you reminded everyone of that.
Yeah.
When a season's so long,
Yeah, it's
you
easy
get to
to
the
forget.
end. You have that recency bias of the last couple of races, and then you forget the first couple. Maybe you just see, Max was just won every time. You forget, what maybe happened.
Yeah.
And it's great to remind us that, it was great to see Alonso just fighting at the start. And, even sometimes near the end, even though the car wasn't as good, some races it was a bit better and has a better chance. And I hope next season, he does the same, really, because it's great to see. And it was sad to see this race. He was kind of flaming the car a bit. He was like, this car has the worst straight line speed ever.
You know what it felt like? It felt like GP2 engine.
GP2
GP2 engine.
All those good McLaren voice
Yeah.
clips. Oh my days.
Yeah. And Silverstone's also a great shout. When we saw Norris leading in Silverstone, that was
Yeah.
pretty good.
I mean, also a notable mention to Brazil, where the fight for third place between Checo
Yeah.
and Alonso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was good.
And
It's
the
up
start
there.
was interesting as well.
It's up there.
Yeah.
I can't deny that.
Vegas
all-
is sort of near the top, but I wouldn't put it first. But
Nah,
yeah.
shout out to Vegas for existing.
Wasn't
I
terrible.
guess.
Yeah.
So, all good shouts, and then we can get onto sort of the less desirable awards, let's say. What do you think's the worst team or / driver? I guess we can do both together.
Haas.
Haas was
I mean,
the
the worst
only
team in Haas, yeah.
Haas is terrible.
Haas was
Yeah.
like the only team that was consistently having mechanical problems this year.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Like
Not
they
a lot.
were just breaking a lot, and especially compared to how reliable other teams were, I was just like, why are you breaking again?
Yeah, and
I mean, but to be fair, we also saw that with Alfa Romeo.
That is true. Alfa
Yeah.
Romeo also.
So I think
sucked.
it's something with the lower powered Ferrari engines.
Yeah.
I don't know. Alpha just weren't showing much. Neither were Haas.
Alfa
And
Romeo is just slow.
when
Yeah.
Haas, they made a big deal about these upgrades. They had the upgrades,
they
and
got $1.5 million worth of upgrades.
really,
And they
Yeah.
didn't get better.
And
and
what
nothing
happened?
really. And that specific race before the upgrades was just the same old story.
Exactly, and
The
they got
next race
7
after that-
points.
The next race after that was a bit better, if I recall correctly. But when they got it was just, and then just
yeah. I think
all the races after that, after the the upgrades don't go away.
I can't even think of like one outstanding Haas moment. Like I can think of a few Alfa Romeo being surprisingly good, and I
Yeah.
don't think I can remember any Haas.
No,
ones.
I think I can see some in Hulkenberg doing really well in
Oh,
qualifying.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah,
also
yeah.
don't pay attention to Haas. It's worth pointing out. So it is my own bias
Mhm.
also.
But then it's Haas, and then I would say Magnussen, who are like kind of letting
Magnussen
themselves
was
down.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg was actually doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Magnussen just
Mhm.
you just forget about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just
He's actually
I
there.
still wonder why they had to get rid of Mick Schumacher for Magnussen. Like, really?
I mean-
I'm not saying Mick Schumacher was great, but like
I think-
Magnussen's not good.
I think
Yeah.
honorable mention for worst. Like, I don't think he was the worst driver because I don't think you can be the worst driver with the best car. But I don't think Perez was exactly.
No, he wasn't
No.
good.
I
He
think
wasn't
he's
good at all.
up
I mean, but
there.
can we really say he's the worst driver when he won 2 races?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I
but
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm not.
man.
But
But
you know
I
what
think
I
when
mean.
you put it into context of that car, and we saw Max 10 wins in a row, 19
Mm.
wins,
And Perez wasn't even challenging. It's not like Perez was sat there in P2.
and what was that
how
like?
you'd expect.
Double Perez's points, and Max is still ahead by 5 or something.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, what? You're in the same car.
yeah. So I think obviously Perez isn't the worst driver, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, but like when you compare to like Bottas during Hamilton's years of dominance, it's like, where is Perez? Because he's not in second.
yeah. So I think that's all fair, and then we can go into who do you think was the most, by the community, the most overhyped driver during the season? Who do you think everyone was saying either maybe they had like one good race or a couple, or maybe every driver thought this guy was amazing and you just thought he's not all that, or he didn't really do much for his team or something? Or do you think there was a driver that sort of jumps out for you? Or
Nick De Vries, Formula E world champion, and he got points on his debut at Williams. Everyone thought he was going to do something
That's
this
fair.
season,
Yeah.
and he got kicked out after 10 races. So
Yeah, I think it was collectively overhyped and then collectively get out of F1.
Yeah.
it's just one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think I had
Yeah,
someone in
it's
my
a
head and I
tough one.
didn't say anything. Sainz, maybe.
yeah,
He gets a lot of hype, but he's not better than Leclerc.
Especially
he did
in
win though.
qualifying.
He did win one.
Look,
but
you can always say, he won a race, but if you think about consistently in qualifying,
Leclerc was so much better.
yeah.
Leclerc,
Mhm.
and
Just
I
like,
mean-
I don't know. Yeah. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because
well,
I
it's
think-
tough because it's tough because a lot of the drivers that are very hyped are also very good, but then
Mm.
it's like
Yeah,
judging
yeah,
the
yeah,
difference between the hype and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
actual
yeah.
quality of the driver.
I think
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously George Russell has a lot of haters and stuff, but I think when you compare him to Hamilton, Hamilton got third in the drivers' championship, and Russell, he had his moments, but I think I remember mentioning this episodes ago. I can't remember quite what race, but you see just the experience difference, and you see Hamilton, he's just a bit more consistent in the race most of the time. Obviously, these last couple of races, he wasn't too good, but you saw sometimes Russell, he was just, I don't know if it's trying too hard is the word, and you see him making a mistake, and
I
then Hamilton just doesn't make those mistakes, and
I think Russell a lot of the time can look pretty desperate.
desperate
know?
is a great word, desperate. He
Right.
seems desperate in the race, like he wants a bit more.
Yeah,
And
which
just-
is it's good, but it's not when it makes you make all the mistakes that he has made. I'm trying to think of other overhyped drivers.
I think all of them are pretty.
You think they're all
Hyped enough, the
rated
rest of
pretty
them.
fairly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like you want to be like Albon, but he's actually very hyped all the time.
Okay, let's switch this around.
actually-
you got one?
Zhou Guanyu, support my guy.
No.
No,
Support my guy.
Cut it,
Shut
cut
up.
Support my guy,
You're
guys.
kicked
Cut it.
from the podcast.
No, stop
Cut
it.
it. Cut it.
Joe Guanyu, I'm looking at him, 6 points.
Look, he got fourth in quali once. Was it fourth or sixth? I can't remember.
Where's Bottas?
What part of that was
Bottas has got
overhyped?
10 points
Yeah.
overall.
Oh, he's not overhyped. He's underhyped. That's the word
No.
I was going for.
Yeah, I was going to switch it around
Yeah,
to
wait, hang
underhyped or underappreciated
Ignore
driver.
me.
You think Joe Guanyu is under...
No, hang on, wait. My brain forgot what question we were on. He's my best friend, guys. I'm not dunking on him. He's my best friend.
I mean, I would say the most underappreciated driver. I wouldn't say like the most, but then I would say Oscar Piastri.
It's all
just
relative,
because
yeah.
it's his first season in Formula One. And to do things that he has done, win a sprint, take pole positions, and actually match his teammate, Lando. I mean, it is the Lando Norris. And that McLaren is not easy to drive,
Yeah.
as we've seen
I think-
before.
Yeah.
I think Piastri doesn't get a lot of the hype that he should for being a rookie because we've all collectively forgot he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
We're all sat there like,
Because you see
yeah,
him drive,
Oscar
and
Piastri,
he doesn't make
obviously.
any of these mistakes.
Yeah.
And he just looks like a clean driver.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Russell's making these rookie mistakes,
Yeah,
and he's
he's-
been there for how long?
Oh, that's a great
compared
point.
to
That's a great
Piastri?
comparison to Russell. Piastri, when you see him on the race day, when he fights with people, I don't think, has he crashed with anyone? I don't.
He's been in some. I think he's had
yeah, I
damage
think-
a few
yeah.
I
times.
think of Brazil. Yeah.
And also Mexico with Sonoda.
But
Yeah.
you never see these big egregious mistakes you see out of Perez,
Exactly, yeah.
Russell. You don't see him
He's-
turn into someone or
Yeah.
make this weird dive down the inside that gives him a big penalty.
Yeah.
Piastri is just very clean.
He's so
He tries-
clinical.
He
yeah.
tries his best and he gets decent points. And when the car got better, he delivered.
Yeah, he does race the same way he raced in F3 and F2. Like
Yeah.
he was always the consistent, clean driver,
Exactly.
and he
Yeah.
just still is. And like a lot of the time, drivers coming from F2, they do not keep that same like
True.
consistent cleanness that they
Yeah.
have there, but he really has.
I think for me, another sort of more underappreciated, or when he does well in a race, you don't see a lot of broadcast sort of highlight it. Is I think Gasly. I think he goes under the radar a lot. It's the same with Sainz, I think, where it goes under the radar a lot. I'm not saying he's the most underappreciated or he's like the best driver on the grid, but I think a lot of the time when he does good in a race, he doesn't get much screen time, which is what you see him slowly creep up, so, and then he's randomly like fifth or
Him and
in
Ocon as well, both the Alpines. I think that's true of.
I just prefer Gasly over
Well,
Ocon.
same. I think he's probably a better driver than Ocon is.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
And they're both race winners. True
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. And so I feel like, there's just certain drivers that when they do well in a race, you just don't hear a lot from them, which is weird, you know.
Yeah, that Alpine, I've forgotten it exists this season.
100%.
Like, where have they been? Just like they've just sort of been there where you expect them to be, and you're like, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Gasly's in the points again, I guess.
Yeah, like they're better than Haas and Alfa Romeo and I guess Williams most of
Yeah.
the time. But then it's just like, and AlphaTauri, but then it's just like, I don't know.
I think they're just so far off McLaren and like Aston Martin, Mercedes, Ferrari that you forget they're like in no
They're like
man's
that,
land
yeah,
in the
exactly. They're
middle.
that middling sort of team where it's just like, they're slightly better than the pack below them, but they really can't reach the cars above them.
You know, I enjoyed, and to circle back to Abu Dhabi, I enjoyed Gasly getting mad on the radio about Ocon.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
do you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
how they used to like hate each other?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm feeling some of that again. Like, I'm enjoying it. Like, there's a little bit of anger there. It's quite funny to watch.
Yeah, it's
Remembering
it
how
is
they
funny.
like despised each other for a few years.
Yeah,
So,
100%, and it's fun to see that boil over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Matt, I believe you have some awards for us.
Yeah, just-
I'm dreading to hear what these are. I'm worried for the podcast. I'm worried, but
Oh, it's just a quick 3 options each, and you can just vote for which one you think is by far the worst. So
okay,
to start, worst livery of the season, I've got Red Bull Miami's livery,
okay.
that was
the
bad.
pink Alpine,
Oh.
and
that's
Alfa Romeo's Monza kick livery.
Ooh. I mean,
Oh.
I really hated the Miami livery. It was so ugly to me.
I would say the pink Alpine.
The pink
I-
Alpine
the
was
pink
also
Alpine was
bad.
bad. The
I
pink,
couldn't
These
stand
were
it.
all
Yeah.
bad.
yeah, these
Yeah.
are good picks. Yeah,
Yeah.
the pink Alpine didn't do it for me. Didn't do it for me.
But at
Yeah.
least it was fun.
Uh,
They were trying.
There's a line
something.
between fun and insanity.
Yeah, and Alpine are walking it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are actually
Yeah,
good picks.
they were
Yeah.
all bad.
okay, I'm looking forward to the next one. What we got?
So just the flip of that, best livery of the season, I've
Okay.
put McLaren Triple Crown,
Yeah.
That was good.
That was good.
Silverstone Williams,
Mm.
Vegas
Gulf.
Ferrari.
Vegas for
Oh, you know what?
Was
I'm
the
gonna,
Silverstone Williams the Gulf one?
No, that was the one with the British flag.
Oh, the British flag. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
You know what?
Very
I'm
clean.
gonna change your answers, and I'm gonna say that I really liked the AlphaTauri one for Abu Dhabi. I thought that looked cool.
Oh, the zebra one.
Yeah.
That was
It wasn't-
interesting.
It was weird, but I enjoyed it. Also, I didn't know it was happening until I watched the
Oh,
race.
and you know, little tangent if we're talking about what was up with the Alfa Romeo one? I thought that was a Mercedes, but
Yeah.
it's all black. I was so confused.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dad was thinking Hamilton's got overtaken, but it's just Bottas and Alfa Romeo. Can we please for next season or the next seasons? Can we have different looking liveries for all the teams?
Yeah.
I beg, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo looks too similar to Haas sometimes, and AlphaTauri looks sometimes too similar to other teams, and then sometimes Williams just has a white livery, so then I think they're a different team.
Yeah.
Robin is slowly losing it.
Everything's coming out now. End of this.
Come on, could one of the teams be purple? We said it
Yeah.
last season.
Yeah.
And
last
then we
episode,
will
and
stand
need
them
it.
for the whole time.
I mean, but to be fair, the best livery, I would say McLaren's Triple Crown.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that so much.
That was
That was
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, third one, best meme of the season. So we got Alonso just generally on TikTok.
Yeah.
Drive to Survive between Toto and Horner's argument, or the George Russell T-pose picture.
Oh, the George Russell T-pose. I literally, this morning I saw a TikTok where it was like sad music playing over the George,
Yeah.
because you know they change it every
Yeah,
year. They
yeah.
change
They
the
do,
like
yeah.
opening, and they're like, it's rest in peace the George Russell one, and it's gotta be that. I mean, it's just so iconic.
As much as it makes
The way he
me
looks
cringe, yeah,
Oh,
it has to
it's-
be George
the,
Russell.
the way he looks so like, at the camera, so
Yeah.
he's just so into it. He thinks, oh my god, this is the best, and then
Yeah.
everyone just makes fun of it.
You can see in his eyes he thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And he's that kid at school that he thinks he's like hilarious. He thinks he's the cool
Yeah.
kid, and then
Yeah.
everyone just is like, oh my days.
Well, watch him bring it back though for next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
He'll
yeah.
do it again.
I'll do it again, but with more
There-
irony over
There's
it.
gonna be. I can't wait for the new one.
Yeah.
Just not even just Russell, but yeah. Okay.
Just final one.
Yeah.
Most cringe Martin Brundle grid walk of the season.
Oh, bro, I generally can't watch them because
I don't watch them.
Well, I have got
actively
got
avoid
3,
them.
which
Yeah.
I thought
Okay.
were arguably the worst.
Go on.
So Cara Delevingne at Silverstone,
that one was.
so
I remember
bad.
that one. That one was really bad.
Machine Gun Kelly at Brazil,
But that one was bad.
and the Red Bull mechanic at Monaco telling Martin Brundle he needs a shit.
I didn't look the Cara Delevingne one. I think it's so cringe. Look, you're on the grid thingy, like, and you're a celebrity. People are gonna come up to you to ask questions. Don't be like, just come on, bro. You're a celebrity out in public on these big events.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like you're going to like
It's
I
not,
don't
it's not
the
like
red.
you're at Asda.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Exactly. It's not like you're. It's like you're on the red carpet. and You're like, no interviews, please. It's like, bro. So
I'm just here for the food.
I just like that one. I just don't like that one.
Martin Brundle is so cringe though.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbearable to watch sometimes.
Nah, Ted is so much worse.
It's hard to
but
see it.
Ted's got a certain charm. Martin Brundle, I'm like, I don't think you know who you're interviewing whenever he interviews famous people. Like, who was it? Like last year that he interviewed and he just didn't know who it was, and it was like, oh no.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
I can't remember who it was, but it made me.
I still love Brundle's commentary.
Oh, I enjoy his
yeah.
commentary.
It's
great.
just
his commentary really good.
those human interaction cringeworthy things.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I feel like he's so good at talking about F1 and two people
Yeah,
in
yeah.
F1, but the moment you remove him from that ecosystem, it's just like,
I mean,
it's a car crash.
Isn't that all of us?
that is true.
Okay, before we wrap up, final question: who do you want to see win a championship next year? Not next year, or in the coming years.
Yeah.
Who would you most want to see win?
Someone who hasn't already won a championship.
So
Whoever
I
was
can't say
thinking.
Max.
I mean, you can say Max, but that's boring,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And I won't say Lewis.
As a Max fan, I would say Lando Norris.
Yeah.
Piastri.
Yeah.
Ooh, Piastri.
Yeah, but
Zhou
But
Guanyu,
to be
guys.
fair-
would you
Zhou
rather
Guanyu.
want to see Lando win than Piastri
Nah,
championship?
I prefer Piastri to Norris.
Really?
Wow.
That's interesting. Obviously, I have to finish my, Leclerc arc.
Yeah.
Come on. No, but
Yeah.
seriously.
Leclerc.
Imagine Leclerc winning a championship with Ferrari. That
Oh, it would be amazing.
wouldn't that just be amazing? You can just imagine him just like you see him like tears
Yeah.
in his eyes.
Yeah.
You can tell the emotion would just boil
It
over.
would be.
I see you've dreamed about this.
I think I have, and I'm also not a Charles fan. No.
It's just one of those where it's just like you don't have to be a Ferrari fan. So
True,
like
true.
it's the
No,
same. I'm not
obviously.
like a McLaren fan, but I'd still see Lando do well. It's just one of those.
Everyone's
Yeah.
a Ferrari fan, truly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I truly do believe that that's true.
That's true. That's true.
But who would I? Zhou Guanyu, guys. Zhou
It's
Guanyu.
boring.
Yeah.
One day.
Boo.
Shut up.
Not Hamilton.
I would.
Nah,
I just said.
he's got his 7.
I
leave him
just
at
said
that.
I won't say Hamilton because he's already won 7.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Like I would love it. don't get me wrong.
Honestly, like, I remember, a couple of years ago, I was like, do I want Hamilton to win another one? But honestly, it's like one of those where it's like, you have such a great, and then they don't do so well for a couple of years, and then imagine they do one final one. It's like that
Yeah.
last dance sort of thing
Yeah.
where it's just,
Yeah, and he just. Yeah, I would love it. He
it would
deserves
be
it.
crazy, but, that's, I can't believe that wraps up the year, the season, and, we're gonna be back in January. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With some pre-season sort of fun, hopefully for
Yeah.
you guys, and then we'll get into races when they come out. So
March
Yeah.
3rd.
March.
yeah, so
Ooh.
final goodbye for a while. Merry Christmas, I guess, for everyone. Enjoy the
Yeah.
holidays,
Yeah.
and we'll be back in the new year. So
yeah, and a happy
enjoy,
new year.
enjoy the
Yeah.
winter break,
yeah,
everyone.
So goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, see you
Cheers.
then.
Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Goodbye,
Thank
everyone.
you for listening.